I'm offering a hypothetical question to you, which is, you are now, a genie comes down and says, okay, and in 10 years you will be running a $1 billion organization, but you're going to start from scratch. Then seeing what you see now, then how would you structure that organization?
I would put Mark in charge.
It's a very, very good question, and it's not just hypothetical. There are people here at this conference who are literally in the process of doing what you're talking about, and they're trying to create what model should I use. So,
yeah, it's a great question, and I think it would be marvelous to think, to have the ability to kind of wipe the slate clean and kind of start from an ideal world perspective. I think that you would want to start with a strong center. And that strong center is not just, well, it's not primarily and shouldn't just be the starting point from a fundraising perspective, but has to be from a mission perspective. One of the things that makes UNICEF, that lends to the greater strength of the center in UNICEF, is that all of our national committees and all of our country offices that are fundraising around the world are fundraising for one set of program activities. And one of the kind of big challenges that other organizations that are going through these kind of changes is the first stage is that you have to work out what it is you're raising money for. And are you raising money for one set of things? So I think if you were setting up a new international organization looking ahead in kind of to 10 years, there'll be a whole lot of things you would want to do and advantages that you'd want to take of, where we are in the kind of digital world and all those kind of issues. But the starting point should be are you going to have one set of program activities which is agreed at a kind of global level and then implemented, obviously, country by country? And that's what the organization and that's what the kind of constituent elements of the organization come together around.
Can I respond to that, Tim? Because I agree with everything you said, but I think that that's a decision you have to make. Mm-hmm. Because the answer, Andrew, I think to your question is it depends on what kind of organization you want to create. Do you want to be UNICEF? Are you just trying to help children around the world? Or do you want to be Kiva and just be an enabling organization that allows for decentralized programmatic delivery? WWF was started as a fundraising organization only. So if you want to be a fundraising organization, you set yourself up one way. If you want to be around a mission, you set yourself up another way. If you want to be red, right? And just sell red products and raise money to help all the issues you want to fund, then that's a decentralized structure. So I agree with Tim if that's the decision that you want to make of the kind of organization you want to be.
Yeah, but after having worked in several organizations, I lost my faith in models. So there is no good model because it's about people. And if you hire the right people and with the right attitude, and then you can make it work in a central-led organization or in a loose organization. So I'm very much into get the right people aboard with a good entrepreneurial mentality, and then you can do everything. So it's not about the model.
Gentleman in the green shirt.
It's Mark Groland from VSO. When you're a global organization, you've got some functions that really you don't want to duplicate in every single market that you're in. So there's economies of scale by having a global function. Now, the question I have is, once you've identified what those global functions are, what is your experience about where they should be domiciled? Should they be domiciled in a strong center, a global function that does all your case study material for you? Or should you give responsibility to one of your national offices and tell that national office, as well as doing that for yourself, you also are going to do that for the benefit of the whole and tie their fate in so that you're building collaboration into the structure?
No one right answer there, right?
Yeah. No, but it's an interesting model to spread it around the world and give everybody a responsibility. I very much like that idea, because then there's real buy-in from the network, so that makes it into a more stronger organization. I believe that. But at the end, it's the same, that you have to centralize some functions, like brand management should be kind of dictatorship, to have one brand that's clear and crisp around the world. But it's okay to put it in Germany or in India or whatever. So I think it's an interesting model, and it can be an interesting or a model of the future, because it's more about networking instead of being centralized or decentralized, or it feels more like 2011. So it's interesting.
And it's a model that I think, if you look at other international NGOs, I think Greenpeace have been really good at pursuing that kind of approach. And really kind of the model of them cross-fertilizing their people around the world, also setting up centers of excellence in some of their national offices, I think is something that people can really kind of learn from.
Next year will be my 10th year with WWF, and having worked side by side with Greenpeace, who is in some ways a more decentralized model than we are organizationally, but they cooperate much more effectively than we do in a lot of ways, and this is one of those ways.
This is the bright side, so if it works, it will work.
It works
right.
well, right?
It works well. But the dark side can be that you have new coordination mechanisms in place to have them all work together, and you create a new layer of bureaucracy between the national organizations and the head office, and it becomes really fuzzy in another way. So that's the big risk.
What does this do to your financials? Can you afford to have these kind of centers of excellence? And depending on how you cover the costs of the center, however big or small it is, that kind of model may work less well or better, but you need to factor in those kind of financial factors as well, because if you're going to kind of put a significant kind of team into, or a significant function into a national office, does that mean that that's going to have a kind of detrimental impact on their overall kind of performance ratio in that country? And therefore, is that going to kind of reduce your ability to invest in that country because you've got this kind of larger package of cost?
What about the silos about they're my donors?
Yeah.
So now we have, we have a multinational charity. They're located in 60 countries around the world, and they want to approach 3M in the United States. Now, 3M is a global multinational company, but the headquarters happens to be in the United States, and so they want to approach 3M in the United States, but they find out that their country office in Germany has approached 3M in Germany. Whose donor is it?
You want to start on that one, Mark? You've tackled that one more than one time.
I've tried to tackle it in the last 15 years in several organizations, and I don't know the answer. But it's also about finding the right people. People who think in silos and think, well, this is for our organization and not for my neighbor in Belgium or in Germany. Those are not the right people to set up a partnership with a corporation. So I try to kick out those people out of my teams then. But that's what should happen. And the world has become flat. So all business is in fact, most of it is global. So you face those problems. So you have to find people working together on teams and do it. And sometimes the money goes to the Netherlands, and sometimes it goes to South Africa, whatever. So what? It's for the same cause.
Another piece of that question is that it's not just corporations anymore. I was talking to my VP of marketing in Geneva 2 weeks ago, and he said, I really had a mind shift last week. And I said, what happened? He said, well, I met this really wealthy entrepreneur, and we were talking about doing business. And so I said to him, so where do you live? He said, London, New York, and Hong Kong. He said, no, but where's your home? The guy said, London, New York, and Hong Kong. And it's like it just shifted for him. It's like people no longer live any one place. There's a whole strata of wealthy individuals who are in the same category as corporations who live globally. They don't live in one place. So when they make a gift to UNICEF, they're not making it to UNICEF Spain. They're making it to UNICEF, and they expect it to go other places.
Question in the corner.
Just one quick comment going back to the question about global donors and how do we relate to them. Because we used to have an old criteria that doesn't work anymore. The section, the MSF section, where the headquarter of the company or the home of the base of the foundation is, would be the one to deal with the corporation or the foundation. But of course that doesn't work anymore, not only because now they may live in Paris, New York and Hong Kong at the same time, but also because living those three countries, they may want to give in Switzerland because of fiscal reasons, or in Spain because they have a personal contact that take them to bring to Spain. So basically what we are in the process of doing is changing the criteria from the old one to the new one, which is basically respecting the wish of the donor. I mean, they give wherever they want.
What a novel idea.
And we take the money wherever they want to give. And that's it. And there's not much, it's not much more complicated than that.
Right, absolutely.
Well, folks, I'm sure you came here expecting a very clear answer to the question, which is better, a centralized or a decentralized model. We hope we've met your expectations by firmly arriving in multiple points in the middle. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget to fill out your evaluation, and your next event is lunch.